You ever see a bull make a grown woman scream like she's in a horror movie? Because that's how my Tuesday started, Karen, in her blinding white golf cart sun hat, flying iced tea airborne, while Sheriff, my 1,000-pound Angus bull, charged straight at her like a freight train with horns. Her voice must have echoed across the entire neighborhood, but I'll tell you, this was no accident. She'd been warned more times than I could count. And if you ask me, that bull was just dishing out a little poetic justice with every pounding hoofbeat. See my farm butts right up against this neighborhood that's run by, let's just say, the most joyless HOA you could imagine. Think of folks who get excited about measuring grass with a ruler. I inherited this land from my granddad, and it's been in the family longer than most of these houses have even existed. But the second that development went up, about 10 years back, certain people, Karen leading the pack, started treating my place like it was their shortcut to the clubhouse. Didn't matter how many private property signs I put up or how many times I closed that gate, Karen would zip right through my back field every morning, like she owned the place, waving like we were old pals, kicking up dust past the hay bales, acting like my chores were just a backdrop for her little commute. At first I tried being polite. I put up a little wooden gate and a sign, "Please use the main road." Next morning, I find the latch busted and my sign ripped down, replaced with this joke of a laminated note, "Shared community access authorized by HOA." I couldn't even be mad. It was so transparently fake, like a kid forging their mom's signature on a permission slip. But that's Karen rules are suggestions, boundaries are just lines for her to step over. Then she started parking her golf cart right in front of my barn doors. Not once or twice, every single day. She'd pull up, grab her little yappy dog and sweet tea, crank up Kenny G, and vanish for hours while I was trying to haul hay or get the vet through. One morning, my cousin Nate's got a 40-pound medical kit he has to hoist over her cart just to get into the barn. When I asked her about it, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Relax, I'm just soaking up the sun. It's practically a community patio." I knew right then this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was pure SPF 50 entitlement. The HOA useless. We'll look into it, they said, which everyone knows is code for "we'll ignore you unless Karen complains first." So she escalates, throws a brunch party right outside my barn with her friends, folding chairs, cupcakes, Bluetooth speaker, the whole 9 yards. My ranch hands had to stand there with feed buckets, waiting like they were outside a velvet rope at some exclusive club. That night I sat on my porch stewing. Sheriff, my big black bull, was pinned up near the fence, restless, strong, and frankly done with confinement after a week inside. See, Sheriff hates anything shiny, especially anything with chrome. And Karen's cart looked like a disco ball on wheels with this fake chrome eagle on the hood. Might as well have painted a target on it. I started thinking, what if instead of arguing, I just let nature take its course? What if I just opened the gate? Now, I'm not a monster. I wasn't looking for anyone to get hurt. But actions have consequences, right? So I waited. Couple mornings went by, no sign of Karen. Maybe she'd finally gotten the message. Then third morning, there it was, the electric whine of her cart, the screech of her brakes right in front of the barn. She's got her sun hat, sunglasses, drink in hand, dog yapping, music blasting, feet up like she's poolside in Miami. I waited 5 minutes, then quietly opened the barn door just enough for Sheriff to take notice. That bull stepped forward, massive muscles rippling black as midnight nostrils flaring like a steam engine. The minute he caught scent of Karen and her golf cart, you could see the mood shift. He needed out, and right there in his way was the world's shiniest roadblock. Karen, for her part, was totally oblivious, scrolling her phone, humming not a care in the world. When Sheriff took his first step into daylight, you could practically feel the earth vibrate. His eyes locked on that cart, and I swear he sized it up like it owed him money. Karen finally heard something, turned, and actually laughed. "Well, hello there, Moo," she said, waving like she was at a petting zoo. "You lost." Like she thought a 1,000-pound bull was just a friendly dog out for a stroll. Sheriff didn't move. He stared her down, lowering his head a bit, pawed the dirt. Karen, ever the social media queen, whipped out her phone and started recording. "Wait till the HOA sees this," she said, narrating like she was filming for Animal Planet. Sheriff chose that exact moment to snort deep loud, a sound that said, "Back up," and started moving. Karen's voice quivered. "Okay, maybe you should go back inside now, buddy." But Sheriff was done negotiating. He bellowed, charged forward, and in one beautiful cinematic moment made a beeline for the cart. Karen screamed, fumbling for her keys, trying to start the cart, but the battery wheezed and died. She leapt out, lost a sandal, and sprinted behind the nearest oak like it was going to protect her. Sheriff didn't touch her, just headbutted that cart so hard the plastic bumper exploded, iced tea flying speaker clattering across the dirt. He stood over his conquest like a prize fighter waiting for applause. Karen peeked out, hair wild, one shoe missing, screeching about animal control, and that thing's out of control. I strolled over, hands in my pockets, trying not to laugh. Everything. All right, Karen, I said. She accused me of letting Sheriff out on purpose, called me insane, demanded I pay for her destroyed cart. Actually, Karen, I said, you've been trespassing and blocking my barn for months. I've got security footage of every time you did it, including today. Her face went from sunburned pink to fish belly white. That afternoon, I backed up all the footage. Sure enough, the HOA sent 2 clipboard-wielding guys to investigate. I showed them the property lines, the videos, the whole 9 yards. They left with nothing to say, but oh boy. That night, I finally had peace. No carts, no brunches, no Karen. But people like her don't quit. They regroup. A couple mornings later, Karen came stomping across my field folder in hand. 2 HOA board members, Curtis the president and Angela, the treasurer, trailing behind like lost ducklings. She rattled off some speech about hazardous livestock, residential zones, and easement laws. Curtis tried to find middle ground. Angela filmed me like I was a reality TV villain. I pointed to the property lines, reminded them that this was county land, not HOA. And oh, by the way, I'd already talked to the sheriff. Karen faltered a little, but then doubled down, threatening to sue me for emotional distress and deliberate endangerment. And she actually did it, filed in small claims court, claiming attempted vehicular manslaughter by animal. My lawyer nearly spit out his coffee. The hearing was straight-up sitcom material. Karen showed up in a neck brace and black shawl like she was auditioning for a soap opera, telling the judge I'd weaponized my bull. When it was my turn, I rolled the security footage, showed the signs, the trespassing, her running from sheriff. The judge watched twice, then asked why she'd been parked on private property in front of livestock. She mumbled something about the sun and a medical condition. Verdict: case dismissed, and a warning that further harassment would be criminal. Word spread. My cousin even made a meme, "Sheriff, next to the smashed cart you parked where?" And for a while it was quiet. But Karen's not wired for peace. Soon enough, I got a visit from a zoning inspector courtesy of an anonymous tip about illegal barn modifications. Inspector looked around, found nothing, even chuckled about the infamous bull. He suggested I put up more cameras. So I went full out, new signs, new cameras, steel gate with a keypad, and for good measure made Sheriff the town mascot. T-shirts, mugs, charity drives. Sheriff the Bull was a legend. People came by for photos, families laughed, and Karen, well, she drove by, scowling from her SUV, watching her infamy grow. One afternoon there was a crash. Her new, even gaudier golf cart stuck on my fence wheels, spinning Karen nowhere to be seen. Deputy Riley, who'd known me since he was a kid, came to haul the cart away. Karen tried to report it stolen, but the cameras said otherwise. Then the HOA held a secret meeting. Thanks to a neighbor tip, I knew they were investigating Karen for misrepresenting policy, using fake signs, and damaging community reputation. By now, Sheriff was a folk hero, and Karen was the villain of every front porch story. But she had one last trick: filed a motion with the county to rezone my barn as residential overflow. If she succeeded, it would trigger months of inspections and maybe force me to shut down. I drove straight to the county office. Lisa, the clerk, showed me Karen had padded her petition with fake signatures. I gathered every deed survey, old photo, and neighbor's letter I could find. Even got Carla, the sharpest ag lawyer around, on my team. At the zoning hearing, Karen tried to act calm, passing out photoshopped pictures of Sheriff, acting like she cared about property values. Carla tore her arguments apart with receipts, and when it was my turn, I spoke straight from the heart about family land and what it means to keep a legacy alive. The board dismissed Karen's motion in under 20 minutes, and even tightened rules to stop people like her from weaponizing bureaucracy. That weekend, I hosted a Barn Freedom Day. Neighbors, kids, even Sheriff in a ribbon, everyone celebrating. The sun set behind the barn, laughter and stories floating across the pasture. And yeah, I knew Karen wasn't done, not really. Folks like her never are. But now every camera was rolling, every fence was fortified, and if she ever tried to pick another fight, she'd have to go through a bull with a fan club and a farmer who's finally done playing defense. So what do you think? Is it right to stand your ground, or should we just roll over for people like Karen? Drop your take below, because I guarantee every community's got at least one.